Mic check 1 2. What is this? Kim Brown on Status Coup. Everybody, mind my business. About to spit some news for y'all. Like Fonda Fitness. Let me just bite off Redman's all of his lyrics while I'm at it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Status Coup News. This is the Wednesday edition. It is I, your Wednesday host. Remember me, Kim Brown. It's a very easy name to remember. Kim Brown. I am the host of Burn It Down with Kim Brown on YouTube. You can also catch me on the Remix Morning Show over on Black Power Media, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings. We've got a great show today for you here on Status Coup News. But before we get into anything, do us a favor, come on in, give the video a thumbs up, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, become a member of Status Coup. It is vitally important to support independent news outlets, particularly those on the left and that are covering perspectives and issues from a left lens. That is very, very critical because we are under attack. There's a lot of things happening to us. Capitalism is attacking us in a variety of ways. We're going to get into a number of stories. Towards the end of the hour, I do want to take a moment to dunk on both Chris Cuomo and Chris Wallace, the political and media spawns of already influential and powerful people. Well, despite being very mediocre journalists, they have both somehow managed to land new opportunities and keeping in brand and on brand with their mediocrity. Both of their new efforts have been ratings flops, and I will take a moment to dunk all over that. That's coming up later on the show. We're also going to talk about Elon Musk now apparently moving forward with his bid to buy Twitter at the original asking price, because Twitter said, do you want to go forward with this lawsuit, Elon? Because we will bury you in discovery with these text messages of your innermost thoughts. And Elon said, you know what, Twitter, I think I will give you exactly what you are asking for. But tragically, is that what we are asking for as users of that social media platform? And more importantly, raises more questions about why and should billionaires be in control of entities that have tremendous reach and influence across political spectrums, and whether or not someone like Elon Musk is going to make Twitter a worse space should he take the reins and take financial control over social media, that particular platform. But we're going to begin today, and thank you everyone for coming in. We're going to begin today talking about Herschel Walker. Now, listen. The Georgia Senate candidate has been running, let's say, an interesting campaign. Let's call it interesting, if we will. He and incumbent Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock are squaring off basically for control of the Senate as a body, whether or not either party is going to be able to maintain at least a slight majority. But a lot of things would be at play should Herschel Walker, of all people, be able to capture this Georgia Senate seat. Now, the shit has hit the fan a little bit for Herschel over the past 24 hours because the Daily Beast came right for Herschel's neck and said, hey, Herschel, we done caught up with one of your former lovers who has provided us a lot of proof that you, in fact, paid for an abortion. Not only paid for an abortion, encouraged the abortion, demanded to see receipts from the abortion. Herschel was doing a lot of insisting upon his lover having this abortion because, you know, Herschel already has 4 kids that he was only semi-interested in seeing / taking care of. He certainly did not want to add to his responsibilities that he was already shirking to begin with. But let's do everybody a favor, in case you are not apprised of the latest of the Herschel Walker situation. I'm gonna try to get you caught up. So let's check out this package. CBS News wraps this up pretty succinctly, but there has been some other developments. Herschel has come out himself and spoken last night, I believe, to Fox News' Sean Hannity. And then he talked again to one of them other douches over on Fox News. Maybe it was Kill Me, Ducey. I can't tell them apart. I don't know who was who over there on Fox News. Everybody looks the same. But anyway, we're going to hear from Herschel, his latest comments when he got on Fox News this morning. But first, let's check out the CBS package so we can get caught up on the drama.
Right now, I'm for life, and I'm not going to make an excuse for it.
Georgia Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker says he is pro-life and supports a nationwide abortion ban with no exceptions.
I believe in life, and there's no excuses about it.
Rape, incest.
I believe in life. I don't think I want to go into what it includes, because who knows.
But new reporting from the Daily Beast, which has not been independently confirmed by CBS News, claims he encouraged a woman he was dating in 2009 to get an abortion and help pay for it. The woman, whose identity was not published, provided the Daily Beast with a receipt for the procedure, a get well card, and an image of a $700 check allegedly signed by Walker.
It is a flat-out lie.
Walker denied the allegations on Fox News Monday night.
But I can tell you right now, I never asked anyone to get an abortion. I never paid for an abortion. They think they can threaten me. They think they can scare me. Right now, all that done is has energized me more that I'm going to fight and win this seat for the great people of Georgia.
The Trump-backed nominee and former football star is taking fire from his own family. Walker's son Christian, a right-wing influencer, posted, "I know my mom and I would really appreciate if my father, Herschel Walker, stopped lying and making a mockery of us."
Walker's opponent, Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock, isn't really weighing in on this controversy as of yet, but in a sign of just how competitive this race is, new fundraising numbers show that he raised more than $26 million in the last 3 months. Walker's camp has yet to report its latest numbers.
They haven't reported their latest numbers, but according to Kilmeade, or at least I think it was Kilmeade again, I cannot tell the people at Fox apart, but let's go with Kilmeade. Brian Kilmeade said this morning on Fox News that Herschel's campaign within the past 24 hours or so had already raised about $500,000, which is a very interesting, I won't even call it a twist. It's just an interesting statement of facts, right? Now, obviously, the whole reason why this entire thing is controversial is because Herschel has taken a very strict pro-life stance when it comes to the issue of abortion. He doesn't think abortion should be legal at any stage, which is absurd, right? And it's interesting, again, that is an example, an outgrowth, not even an outgrowth, so to speak, but that is the position that the Republicans take. Basically, they just want to have autonomy over women's bodies, period, point blank. That is the end. It's not a concern about life. They don't give a fuck about life. It is very, very apparent when, people like all of these big right-wing influencers talk about, oh, we care about the sanctity of life so much. And they will be stepping over homeless people in the street while they are saying how much they care about life, right? So clearly this is not about life. This is all about maintaining control over women's bodies. And for a buffoon like Herschel Walker, and I have to call Herschel a buffoon because that's what he is. I don't see any other way to categorize Herschel Walker. And it's really disheartening, not surprising, unfortunately, but that is the exact kind of black man and or black person that conservatives are generally comfortable with. They are comfortable with someone who is inarticulate, who cannot seemingly make sense of their words or their thoughts, who epitomizes the negative stereotypes that a lot of white America have about black men in general, is that they are hypersexualized, they are deadbeat dads, and they can't put two sentences together. And that is the exact kind of Negro that these conservatives love, ergo all the support for Herschel, right? And we're going to check in with some of these conservatives because I assure you they don't give a fuck that Herschel paid for abortions. They want to make it a point when they are vetting their Supreme Court justices about how they feel about pro-life and this, that, and the third. But in Herschel's case, it is more in their interest to maintain power of the Senate than to be nitpicking Herschel over his morality failings, at least according to the conservative set of standards. But they talked about in that CBS piece Herschel's son, Christian Walker. I've seen this child on the internet and I said, oh boy, oh boy, you can tell that young man's father was not around because he talks extremely crazy. But as a humanist, I'm going to show Christian some empathy here because with the clip that we're about to see from Christian Walker, he absolutely is devastated and hurt that he was abandoned by his father, neglected by his father in his youth. I don't know what kind of relationship they have now as adults, but it doesn't appear to be all that strong. So Christian actually gives his dad the business. He posted these clips on Twitter, basically calling his father a liar, reasserting allegations about domestic violence that Herschel allegedly perpetuated against Christian Walker's mother. Not the only allegations of DV, by the way, against Herschel Walker, but let's hear a little bit from Christian Walker, because the right-wing sphere is trying to dismiss this young man. And listen, generally, for the shit that this young man says, he should be dismissed. But when it comes to his own personal hurt feelings about the ways in which his father treated him growing up and the ways that his father has made him feel, I think his feelings are very valid on this topic. After all, he is an expert on Herschel Walker and Herschel Walker's parenting prowess, if he has any. So let's take a look at what Christian had to say.
I stayed silent as the atrocities committed against my mom were downplayed. I stayed silent when it came out that my father, Herschel Walker, had all these random kids across the country, none of whom he raised. And you know my favorite issue to talk about is father absence. Surprise, because it affected me. That's why I talk about it all the time, because it affected me. Family values, people. He has 4 kids, 4 different women, wasn't in the house raising one of them. He was out having sex with other women. Do you care about family values? I was silent, lie after lie after lie. The abortion card drops yesterday. It's literally his handwriting in the card. They say they have receipts, whatever. He gets on Twitter. He lies about it. Okay, I'm done. Done. Everything has been a lie. And so for the right to say I'm being suspicious for saying, hey, I'm done with the lies, when you all have been calling me saying, is this true about your dad? Gosh, we're not going to win Georgia, this candidate, all that's been you. You have no idea what I've been through in my life. You have no idea what me and my mom have survived. We could have ended this on day 1. We haven't. I haven't told any stories. I'm just saying, don't lie. Don't lie on my mom. Don't lie on me. Don't lie on the lives you've destroyed and act like you're some moral family man. Y'all should care about that, conservatives. And then for people on the left to act as though I'm responsible for all of the things that he has done. I've talked about father absence. I've talked all these issues because they've been close to me, because they matter to me, because I went through it. That's why I've talked about it. So when you say, well, talk about your dad, but I'm saying this behavior is atrocious. Don't come for me. You don't have to like my politics. You don't have to like me. You don't have to. I'm just saying I'm done with the lies. We were told at the beginning of this, he was going to get ahead of his past, hold himself accountable, all of these different things, and that would have been fine. Go ahead. He didn't do any of that. Everything's been a lie. Everything's been downplayed. Everything's been cutting corners. The whole thing. And whose expense is that at? Me, my mom, as we're chased down by the media, we're terrorized, all these different things. People are questioning my authenticity. I'm done. Don't lie. Don't put this on me. This is a candidate issue, not a me issue. I wouldn't have spoken out if there weren't all these lies every day.
Let me tell you something. Let my deadbeat father run for public office. I'm telling everything. I'm showing up to the campaign announcement. I'm showing up to everything with a megaphone. And I'm saying all of the bad things that my deadbeat father did. If he had the audacity, if he had the actual temerity and cheek and chest to say that they were running for political office and then have the audacity to finger wag other people from some sort of faux morality soapbox, especially regarding the issue of abortion and specifically family values. Because I mean, that's all these Republicans and conservatives, that is their main wedge issue about family values. Conservatives, Republicans care about family values. Democrats don't care about family values because Democrats are pro-choice, pro-reproductive justice. Well, that is farthest from the truth. First of all, many people who elect to have abortions already have families. They have families that they're already struggling to take care of. So usually an abortion is a decision to better support the existing members of said family, right? And Herschel Walker understood that. Herschel said, I already have 4 children. I already have 4 children that I'm barely taking care of, barely even seeing, I'm certain. Why bring a fifth? And you know, that was, to me, sound family planning, okay? And if that is the way that the GOP is trying to frame this, no. Herschel doesn't shirk away from being a pro-life candidate. He was doing sound family planning. That would be an excellent spin on that. GOP, you're welcome for that little tidbit. But let's hear from Herschel himself. Herschel, again, like I said, talked to some person on Fox News and gave his perspective. But to the person on Fox News's credit, they actually were hammering Herschel. I won't say hammering. Maybe they don't actually bring the hammer on Fox News, but they were peppering him with some good questions, some very specific questions about the allegations made by Herschel's former lover regarding this alleged abortion back in 2009. So I think it picks up with the Fox News host asking Herschel about the card that Herschel sent, the get well card that he sent to the woman in 2009 after she had had an abortion. In the same card, I believe, held the $700 check of which Herschel was reimbursing her for having this procedure done. So listen to Herschel's explanation. Spoiler alert, it is not very impressive. Let's take a look.
So just real quick, this is the card that this woman said that you wrote to her with the check inside to get an abortion. And the reason why it's significant is because you're for, you're pro-life. You're for zero weeks when it comes to abortion. And here's the card, and you signed it. You've had a chance to look at this now online and on Sean Hannity's show. Is that you?
That's what I said. Sean, that looks like my signature. First of all, I never just put an H on anything. I never have. And I said, you know how many things I've signed, but I've never signed anything with just an H. And I said, that's why I said, whoever is doing this is, it's not true, it's a lie.
Right.
And right now, that's the reason I say I'm going to fight, because, I've been redeemed. That's one thing about it. I've been redeemed.
Okay. I'm sure Herschel has been redeemed. Get the first 5 abortions, get the 6th one free. Because I'm sure this is not the only abortion that Herschel has paid for. And I believe, let me put this out there, my opinion is, I believe the reporting of the Daily Beast about this reporting. By the way, Herschel has threatened to sue the Daily Beast. As of airtime, I don't believe such a lawsuit has been filed, but we will see. After all, Herschel is backed by Donald Trump, who loves to sue media outlets. I am kind of excited about Trump's lawsuit against CNN, by the way, but that's a different topic. For a moment here, let us pretend as though the Republican Party does care about families, because there's very little in their policies that indicate that they give a fuck about families. They don't want to pay workers forget a living wage. They don't want to pay them a surviving wage, a thriving wage. Not interested in that. Definitely interested more so in the health of business and corporations and the shareholders, the stockholders, people who are profiting off of corporate America. That is who conservatives care about. They don't care about average, ordinary families, least of all those who are most affected by these abortion restrictions across the country. Those are usually lower to poor income people, working class people, women of color, Black women, who are not able to afford these services, let alone able to afford children that they already know that they are not able to care for at the level that they would prefer to care for them. And they understand that the state of the United States is more interested in propping up the police state and the U.S. military than it is to make sure that people in this country have access to the things that they literally need to survive. People might be more inclined to start families or even grow their families if capitalism wasn't fucking crushing them at every goddamn corner. But that's another topic. So anywho, getting back to Herschel. This is not going to hurt Herschel in this Georgia Senate race, and I'm going to tell you why. Because at the end of the day, the conservatives are more interested in maintaining power or making sure that they are able to hold or acquire enough seats to gain even a slight majority in the U.S. Senate. And I want us to hear from pundits Dana Loesch and Newt Gingrich, of all people. You want to talk about the morality police. For Gingrich to have openly left one of his wives, he's had so many wives, I do get confused as to which wife Newt left and when, but he definitely left one of his wives while she was dying of cancer or sick from cancer to marry his current wife, Callista. I'm thinking also of Senator John McCain, whose first wife He left once she became disabled, right? He moved right along, right? These people don't give a fuck about family values. I'm thinking of Congressman Tim Ryan. I'm thinking of former Congressman Tim Ryan. I'm thinking about another Indiana congressman. Was it Desjardins? Both of whom paid and encouraged their mistresses to have abortions once they had stepped out on their wives and impregnated their mistresses. They were fine with abortion, fine with abortion. So let us not be fooled by these people up trying to take the moral high road. It doesn't exist for them. So let's hear from Dana Loesch. Be very clear of what Dana is about to say, and listen to Newt Gingrich as well. Make this point explicitly clear.
So does this change anything? I mean, do you want my opinion? You're listening. Not a damn thing. How many times have I said 4 very important words? These 4 words. Winning is a virtue. What I'm about to say is in no means a contradiction or a compromise of a principle. And please keep in mind that I am concerned about one thing and one thing only at this point. So I don't care if Herschel Walker paid to abort endangered baby eagles. I want control of the Senate. If the Daily Beast story is true, you're telling me Walker used his money to reportedly pay some skank for an abortion, and Warnock wants to use all of our monies to pay a whole bunch of skanks for abortions. And yes, when they're used predominantly over 99% of birth control and it's my taxpayer dollars, you have invited me up in your business and I will use whatever descript I would like to. Thank you. So it doesn't change anything for me. I don't know if he did it or not. I don't even care.
I talked to Herschel about this morning, and I've known Herschel a good while. I think he's a remarkable person. I think he's the most important Senate candidate in the country because he'll do more to change the Senate just by the sheer presence, by his confidence, by his deep commitment to Christ, by the degree to which he is, he's been through a long, tough period. He had a lot of concussions coming out of football. He suffered PTSD.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at Herschel suffering from PTSD. I am laughing at Newt Gingrich pointing out the fact that maybe the reason Herschel is talking so crazy is because he suffered so many concussions while he was playing professional football. And hey, that's valid because guess what? Herschel is definitely out here talking crazy. And I am concerned, for one, if let me play the game that I care about electoral politics, because by and large I do not. I feel as though it is a foregone conclusion in a lot of places. But let us play on the same board here for a moment. So I am concerned if Herschel is able to beat Senator Raphael Warnock, and again, I don't see the big difference between the two of them. I do and I don't. I would assume Warnock is a little bit more lenient when it comes to the issue of abortion. But I know Raphael Warnock is also down in Georgia running commercials talking about how pro-police he is and how law enforcement has his back. And I was asking one of my comrades over on Black Power Media, I said, well, how does that message differentiate from Herschel Walker's message of also being pro-police and pro-military, right? So on certain issues, there are areas in which both Herschel and Raphael Warnock are in agreement, right? But this issue pertaining to abortion. So abortion has already gone away under a Democratic president, under a democratically held Senate. It's gone in 26 states. If it ain't out the door, it's on its way out the door. And for optics purposes, I suppose it would be good if Warnock can maintain that seat, just so another right-wing extremist is not in Congress making decisions. But when you have people like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi lamenting about where have all the good conservatives gone? Where have all my good, rational, reasonable, conservative segregationist buddies of yesteryear? Where have they gone from Congress? Herschel might be exactly what they've been asking for. Herschel might be the kind of nutbag conservative like Strom Thurmond, like Robert Byrd, like all the people that Joe Biden used to backslap with and smoke cigars and drink bourbon with. And that's who he talks about. These are the people that he misses in Congress. Herschel might be that. Herschel might be that. But just, I feel bad for people who are moderates or liberals or Democrats that find themselves banging their heads against the wall, having this insane conversation, trying to point out the obvious hypocrisy from the right. The right does not care about life. They never have. If they cared about all lives, that they would make sure that all lives have access to health care. They would make sure that all parents had paternity and maternity leave upon the birth of a new child. Like, these are things, these are policies that they would put forth and support if truly they gave a fuck about all lives. Just bringing all lives into the planet does not mean that you are pro-life or that you even care about life or the quality of people's lives. These people are capitalists or aspiring capitalists. They hope to just maintain the system, and the system needs workers. And with capitalism beating everybody down so bad, people are electing to either not have families at all or reduce the size of their existing, not reduce, I should say, but, plan out that number a little bit better beforehand, before even, having their family. So if they want pro-life, quote unquote, pro-life, then it's time for us to be pro-socialism or pro-communism or pro another economic system that doesn't dispirit people so much out of procreation that they actually want to have families. But make no mistake, the conservatives are going to be there to try to take the moral high ground, even as Dana Loesch and Newt Gingrich have very much shown us that, that is not their main concern. They are fine with Herschel not adhering to the whole GOP platform of morality, so to speak, because none of them do. Not a single one of them do. This is about power. This is not about morals. It's not even about ethics. This is about politics at the end of the day. And the fact that Herschel stands such a good chance, a competitive chance, I think he is narrowed in the polls with Raphael Warnock. Herschel is closing that gap. And if Herschel wins this, hoo boy, I don't even know what to say to that. We have elected some dummies. We have even elected some dummies as president. Lots of dummies as president, by the way. Now it's just a free for all. Anybody. It's open for anybody. Not anyway. Do us a favor, guys. Give us a thumbs up. Appreciate you. What's up, Doobie? Thank you so much for your super chat. I'm glad I spotted that one. Appreciate you so much for your support. Give us a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe and become a member of Status Coup News. Again, these types of independent media outlets on the left are vital, critical, because the mainstream media is out here playing a bunch of games. And speaking of playing a bunch of games, Elon Musk back in the news today for a couple of different reasons. Yesterday, Elon sort of had a bad day on Twitter. I don't know if you were able to ascertain or get a full grasp of what Elon was dealing with. but Elon decided to weigh in on the conflict in Ukraine. And if we could get Elon's tweet up there, because he weighed in, and a lot of people felt as though Elon should not have weighed in. Because he said, let's try this then. Then the will of the people who live in the Donbass and Crimea should decide whether they're part of Russia or Ukraine. Talking about the elections, the annexations, where the vote is happening in places of Ukraine where the Russians have invaded and are holding power, allegedly forcing people at gunpoint to vote to be annexed as part of Russia and no longer part of Ukraine. And so the Russia-Ukraine thing is a hard one for me to weigh in on personally, just because of the amount of propaganda that is involved. When we're talking about a proxy war between the United States and Russia, honey, we are talking about the most outstanding propaganda states maybe ever. Maybe ever. What can be believed coming from either Russia or the United States perspective? I say nothing. I say I believe nothing. I don't even know what I believe coming out of Ukraine. But there are several things I do believe that are facts. Number one, I do believe that Vladimir Zelensky and the Nazis are doing big things right now in Ukraine. I believe that the Nazis are running things on that side of the border. I do believe Putin wants to reclaim this part of Ukraine in true imperialist fashion, right? He wants to restore the Soviet bloc and the Soviet satellite states of rather the former Soviet satellite states. Okay, so I mean, I don't agree with these things, but I can follow them. I understand them. So when it comes to Elon weighing in on this issue, though, I really feel as though Elon should mind his business, but he doesn't. This is not the first time that he has commented publicly about international conflicts and even elections. Elon, even in the past, joked, quote unquote, joked about cooing. Who was it? Evo Morales down in Bolivia? Was anyway? He joked about even openly cooing democratically elected presidents, right? So for him to weigh in here, he got a lot of shit from both, from really pro-Ukrainian folks on Twitter, accusing him of being a Putin puppet, accusing him of being pro-Russia. And Elon said, you know what? All this heat is not really what I want to deal with. How about this? How about I agree to buy Twitter? Will y'all leave me alone now? Will y'all get out my mentions about Russia and Ukraine? I'm buying Twitter. An excellent way to switch up the conversation there. So, and I do want to circle back to the Russia thing in a bit, but I wanted to just point out the ways in which Elon was able to deftly sidestep some of this criticism regarding Russia and Ukraine. So Twitter, let's go to that CNBC piece because the headline reads, Twitter shares surged 22% after Elon Musk revives his deal to buy the company at original price. Now, if you guys remember, several months earlier in the year, Elon had agreed to buy Twitter, or had made an offer to purchase Twitter for $44 billion. Twitter, from some of the inside reporting that was coming out of Twitter itself, indicated that nobody at Twitter wanted to be working for Elon Musk because he's a very bad boss. Please check all the racial discrimination lawsuits that have been filed against Tesla and all the union busting efforts that Tesla has done at the behest of Elon Musk. I'm sure he is a shit boss, and I don't blame the Twitter employees for not wanting to work for him. However, Elon was going forward with this buy for Twitter for $44 billion. And then he said, wait a second. I think Twitter has way more artificial accounts here. I think the stock price is overvalued. I want to reassess this. And Twitter said, nope, nope. You've already put this offer forward, sir. We shall move forward. So anyway, long story short, Twitter ended up suing Elon because he attempted to back out of the deal. And this lawsuit was moving forward pretty much in a hurry. But per this announcement, it could be as soon as Friday that Elon officially becomes the owner of Twitter at the stock price he was asking for, $54.20 per share, which I believe that number today, actually, I don't know what Twitter's trading at the moment, but I don't think it's at $54.20 at the moment. So either way, Elon's going to end up paying a bit more for Twitter than he probably feels as though that it's worth. But of course, this is going to be to his benefit because had this lawsuit moved forward, I'm certain that the discovery process would have revealed a lot of text messages and communications that probably would have embarrassed Elon Musk. So he did not want to go with that. So he said, let me kill all this noise and go ahead and buy the thing. Now, I am disturbed by Elon Musk's involvement in a social media platform, just in the same ways that it bothers me that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. When you have these billionaires that are in control of such influential media entities, what do? They influence their politics and their priorities into the reporting or in the ways in which these entities are run. So, for example, with the Washington Post, ever since Jeff Bezos took over, you notice you don't see no bad reporting about Jeff Bezos in the Post, right? Barely. They don't even like to criticize the elites and the wealthy now over at the Washington Post. Like Jeff Bezos' influence into the news philosophy and into the stories that the Washington Post decides to cover and the ways that they decide to cover certain stories, particularly about the countries and the global elite and most wealthy, is decidedly tame. Okay, I think even tame is being polite in the situation. So Elon has already previously said that should he obtain control over Twitter, he would reinstate Donald Trump's Twitter account, and he would allow for quote unquote more free speech. Well, what Elon's version of free speech to me sounds like the replatforming on Twitter of a lot of right-wing white supremacists, of a lot of people that specifically target and harass women online, particularly women of color and Black women online. And this is the kind of free speech that Elon would like to restoke. Here's the thing about that. It's not free speech. There was a Twitter account, and the website is still very much active and they do extremely good work, but a Twitter account by the name of Hood Communist one day just disappeared. Hood Communist had about 30,000 followers, and they used to tweet things anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, shit that we all support, right? Generally, if you truly want to see freedom in this country, capitalism cannot be it. But anyway, that was the political leanings of Hood Communists, and Twitter just took away their account. They were not Twitter, that is, Twitter was never able to provide what parts of their policies or their community standards that Hood Communists ever violated, because they didn't violate anything. It was their politics. It was the way that they were presenting their messaging and the following that they were amassing as a result. Come to find out, communism might be actually popular online. Who knew? Who knew? But that doesn't align with Twitter, what Twitter was interested in. So I don't see, for example, Elon Musk reinstating Hood Communists. Now, I would be impressed should he decide to do that. But it's more important for him to make sure that someone like Donald Trump is platformed, not the voices of marginalized people who want to see a different system replace the current exploitative and destructive system of capitalism that we currently have. I don't like it. I don't like it. I do like that Elon is being made to do something, because usually you cannot make billionaires do anything that they don't want to do. But I don't think that this is going to bode well for the issue of quote unquote free speech, whatever that means, the restoration of democracy, whatever that means. And if you let Trump get back on Twitter, oh man, that is what's just going to dominate the news cycle from here on out. But I'm curious though, with Trump making obvious threats, death threats against Mitch McConnell, is that the kind of thing that Twitter under Elon Musk would allow? I can understand the concerns about the temperature of the rhetoric getting turned up in America, but I think that this rhetoric has always existed, even at this level, to certain degrees, but I just think it was different folks being impacted, right? I mean, we had, I'm thinking of oh man, what was that guy? Taney, Supreme Court Justice Roger Taney, who I believe was on the court at the same time Woodrow Wilson was president, and they used to say very violent things about Black people, about the rise of the Klan. And, you know, maybe to mainstream white America, that didn't sound all that threatening. But to the ears of Black folks 100 years ago, to hear that kind of rhetoric coming from sitting Supreme Court justices and sitting presidents, again, I'm sure Black people 100 years ago weren't even surprised by that kind of violent rhetoric coming from people sitting in those lofty places, because that kind of speech has always come, racially violent speech, that is, has always come from people sitting in those very lofty places. So when I hear the way that Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, you know, are very visceral with their language and the things that they say, I'm glad that people are concerned, and I'm glad that people want to see something done about it. But again, I want people to check their privilege, right? And understand that these types of things have always been said to and about other groups, known and unknown, individuals and people within those groups. And it's not new. You know what I mean? This historical inflammation, I guess, of our politics has always been there, but now I think everybody sees it and recognizes it. So I don't even think that that's a bad thing. But Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, I'm not with that. But I wanted to circle back to a moment back to Russia and Ukraine, and I apologize for being all over the place. And I will pull this together, I guarantee. If we could get that NPR piece up, because now I'm gonna be honest here. Last week, when Putin initially made his alleged nuclear threats, I said, and the reason I said, is because, again, I don't see very powerful, privileged people turning their luxurious lifestyles into smoldering smoke, right? On purpose, because surely Vladimir Putin knows that the mutually assured destruction is going to be there if he decides to wage any sort of nuclear attack on Ukraine. Surely he knows that. Let me read from this NPR piece. It says Russian leader Vladimir Putin has just raised the specter of using nuclear weapons in his war with Ukraine. Now, Putin has done this before, though he was more explicit in a speech last Friday and says that he's not bluffing. Isn't that what bluffers always say? The United States, he said, set a, quote, precedent when it dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan in 1945 at the end of World War II. So what is the likelihood that the Russian leader might use such weapons himself? Well, quote, we have a 77-year tradition, some calling it taboo, of non-use of nuclear weapons. Russia is threatening that, end quote, said Matthew Bunn, a professor at the Harvard Kennedy School. At the Harvard Kennedy School, he spent his career studying nuclear weapons, including a stint in the 1990s as a White House advisor when President Bill Clinton was in office. When this expert says we have had a 77-year tradition, some call it a taboo, of non-use of nuclear weapons. Well, what happened 78 years ago, sir? Who was doing what 78 years ago as it pertained to nuclear weapons? Was it the United States? Was it only the United States? Okay, I'm just double checking. When Putin says that he's not bluffing, I think he's absolutely bluffing. Because it ends badly for him. Truly, it ends badly for us all. But do you think Vladimir Putin is concerned about the world, global population? Not at all. This is a man motivated solely by self-interest, right? And the interest of his state, trying to maintain Russian hegemony, basically, because with NATO encroachment, and that's what it is NATO encroachment onto Russian borders. Putin has been telling people to get up off of his borders, and NATO didn't want to listen. And he guaranteed that this would be the outcome, that there would be some sort of response. Okay, this is the response: the invasion of Ukraine and everything that has happened over the past 8 months. But when it comes to nuclear weapons, I mean, I hear him talking, I hear him saber rattling. I just don't see him doing it in his own self-interest. I know a lot of these powerful white men think that they can just get on in their cock rockets and abandon Earth and just leave us behind on a drowning, heating up planet, right? But no, not really. not exactly. You have nowhere to go on your cock rocket. Where are you going, sir? If Vladimir Putin launches a nuclear weapon, that's it. That's over. It's over for everybody, but definitely over for him, even if he finds a bunker. So what's the fucking point? If he can't be a rich jerk, spend his money, travel around the world, have all his mistresses, do all the things that he enjoys as being a powerful man in the globe, then what's the point? What is the point? I just don't see it happening. I just don't see Putin sacrificing his own position in order to own Ukraine, right? I think if Russia just holds on a little longer, I mean, they could probably do what needs to be done in Ukraine. And I don't mean to trivialize it. I'm not trivializing the incident in Ukraine or what's going on in Ukraine. I just look at that as really not America's business. Not at all. Our money should not be going there. Our weaponry should not be going there. I don't appreciate the fact that in the wake of Hurricane Fiona, Joe Biden had the, big cheek to go down to Puerto Rico and pledge $60 million additional dollars the same week that he's sending Ukraine an additional $12 billion on top of the many billions that have already been sent to Ukraine. So I look at this as a bunch of saber rattling. I'm someone that grew up during the Cold War, so to speak. I mean, not quite. I'm not duck and cover years old, but I'm definitely Gorbachev tear down that wall years old. And there was a lot of shit talking going then between United States and Russia, and at the end of the day, nothing panned out. And not to say that things can't quickly escalate, but mutually assured destruction goes for everybody, And Joe Biden doesn't want that drama. Vladimir Putin really does not want that drama. None of us really want that drama, which is why I am disinclined to believe Putin's saber rattling, even if he says I'm not bluffing. Because what does a bluffing son bitch always say? I'm not bluffing. And so there is that. Yes. So anyway, if you have been giving Elon Musk the blues in his mentions, please continue that work. We appreciate that work. Trolling billionaires, I think, is the least that we can do on our time spent on social media. So enjoy Twitter while you can, because when Elon gets a hold of it, it's going to be a whole new madness. Do us a favor, everybody. If you have not already liked the video, like the video. If you're not already subscribed to Status Coup, please take a moment to do so and go a step further, become a member of the channel. And if you get a chance, go on over to my channel, Burn It Down with Kim Brown. I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and maybe you guys could really help me do that. So go on over to Burn It Down with Kim Brown and give me a subscription, please, and thank you. And speaking of media, let's close out with this because I've been working in media a decent amount of time. And what I've come to discover, particularly when it comes to news and or commentary or political analysis, that, on the major news networks and cable news outlets, there are a severe deficit of opinions. Now, just because they think that they got two people from the left and two people from the right, arguing, hollering, and cussing, yelling at each other on TV, that somehow that is representative of the full political spectrum of people in this country, they are wrong, right? So if you are not a admitted card-carrying member of either the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, and you want to discuss politics and news on a mainstream cable outlet or one of them big three news outlets, it's not going to happen. You're not allowed. They don't really let independent-minded people come in and think. They certainly don't let people come on who have an anti-capitalist view, right? Because God forbid that somebody get on mainstream television like they used to, by the way. Remember those when Malcolm X and James Baldwin and all of them, and they would have these wonderful, robust debates like on actual regular television. You notice that shit doesn't happen anymore for a very specific reason. They do not want dumbass Americans getting no new ideas like shh, capitalism just working just fine, y'all. Shh, be quiet. Anyway, but I wanted to point out this. So even within the already very limiting perspective cycle on news and cable outlets, even within how limiting those voices are, even within those already limited voices, it's even more limiting, right? When we look at diversity in media and across the media landscape, and this continues to bear out with every subsequent study and report about the diversity in media and on television specifically, and in news specifically, it's always very abysmal if you were non-white and non-male. Because white folks have a majority of the jobs, and even within the white folks, a majority of those jobs are held by white men, right? But when you go outside of white people and checking the other racial categories, like, hey, where are the Black folks? Where are the Latinos? Where are the Asians, Pacific Islanders? Where are indigenous people's representation? It's largely not there. And part of the reason I think it's not there is, number one, no one gives a fuck about what non-white, non-men have to say, by and large, unless they are fully invested in the horse race politics of Republican versus Democrat and fully invested in capitalism. You have to be invested in those things to be a non-white, non-male voice on any of these platforms, right? But another part of the reason I think you don't see non-whites and non-men as much as you see whites and men is because the mediocre white men are hogging up all the fucking jobs, okay? All the legacy hires are hogging up all the fucking jobs. All of the legacy affirmative action. My daddy was a somebody. Them motherfuckers, excuse my language. I'm not at home. Them son bitches is hogging up all the jobs, okay? Case in point, let's go to the debut as covered by the New York Post of former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo. Hey, did you guys even know that Chris Cuomo got a new job? Did you give a fuck? I didn't either until I saw this article. And then I had a nice chuckle because I love to laugh at the mediocrity of certain folks, especially these legacy hires. You know, it's so funny that affirmative action is probably going to come before the Supreme Court again as a case. I wish they would take on the issue of legacy affirmative action. My daddy was a somebody. That kind of affirmative action. Get the fuck out of here. So anyway, checking this headline, Chris Cuomo's News Nation primetime debut is a ratings flop, according to Nielsen. Now, this ain't even the haters. This is not even according to the haters. This is according to Nielsen. Chris Cuomo's return to primetime cable news was a ratings flop. That landed him in last place against the competition. The News Nation pulled in the news on News Nation. I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty reading on today. Let me try again. Let me try again and again. Okay, the former CNN star's premiere of his new show, Cuomo on News Nation, pulled in just 147,000 total viewers on Monday night, according to figures released by Nielsen Media Research. Cuomo, who was reported, get this, guys, Cuomo, who is reported by the Post as being paid just $1 million a year by the fledgling network, which is a fraction of his compensation at CNN, fared poorly in the 25 to 54-year-old demographic, which is the most coveted of advertisers, drawing in just 8,000 viewers. There's more. There's more. I just wanted y'all to sit with that for a second. So just sit with that for a moment. So Chris Cuomo, okay, let's be clear. Chris Cuomo got pushed out of CNN. Now my memory is failing me at the moment. I can't remember if he resigned, wink, wink, or was encouraged to resign, or just all I got fired. But either way, his ass should have been fired long ago, because that big brother, little brother shtick that he and Andrew Cuomo used to play on CNN, that shit used to make me angry all the fucking time. Because I'm like, you guys do understand that Andrew Cuomo is a whole ass elected official, governor of a whole state, and y'all are just sitting here yucking it up. Big brother, little brother. Who does mom like more? I'm like, are you fucking serious? Chris Cuomo and CNN? I could not believe that as a news outlet, CNN would let that sort of goofy shit just slide. But that is indicative of whatever the news leadership and the editorial leadership was at CNN, that clearly they didn't see an ethical problem with that, which it was flawed journalistically to begin with. It never should have been allowed to fly. Chris Cuomo should have never have had his brother on in a very casual way, asking him about the policies that he was working on and mixing it in with their little big brother, little brother brouhaha, the little goofy shit that they would do. That really used to make me very angry. Also makes me very angry reading this piece. Chris Cuomo is only getting paid $1 million. Only getting paid $1 million. Who in the hell in News Nation made the decision to hire him back? A man who has demonstrated poor journalistic and editorial news judgment. He doesn't have it, because if he had news judgment, he wouldn't have had his elected official governor brother on with him on his show on a regular basis on CNN just to sit around and shoot the shit, right? Like that goes to tell that tells me a lot about Chris Cuomo and his ability to be politically unbiased or even news unbiased when it comes to just reporting the news straight up. And I don't like the fact, again, that this is a legacy hire. Like, is Chris Cuomo such an exceptional journalist that he just could not stay unemployed no matter what? There was nobody out there better qualified, more qualified as a host, as an interviewer. Chris Cuomo was it. News Nation said, damn, we just got $1 million left on talent. Got to give it to Chris. We have to give this $1 million to Chris Cuomo. And the fucked up thing is that had it been anybody else but Chris Cuomo, had it been a non-white person or a non-man, I assure you they would not have gotten a $1 million salary to perform at a very low level. And in the interest of fairness, I hate even to be fair to these legacy affirmative action hires, but in the interest of fairness, it does take some time sometimes for a new show to gain some traction, to build an audience, et cetera, et cetera. I don't care. I do not care. Chris Cuomo wasn't doing all that great at CNN to begin with. And now he's gone over to News Nation to only earn, I mean, God damn, he's really just pouring it up at only a $1 million salary. My God. I mean, how is he supposed to survive off that paltry amount? Mediocrity being rewarded. The reason why media and news will continue to be overwhelmingly white and overwhelmingly male is because that is who those who make who are the decision makers. That is the only perspectives that they are interested in. And the white man as a phenotype for the trusted news person, that pervades, that continues, right? Oh, we can only trust Tom Brokaw or Sam Jennings or Walter Cronkite. Like, that sort of casting continues on, and it makes it almost impossible for people who do not fit that cis hetero white mold to even get a foothold, to even consider to be able to hold a position like primetime News Nation. I don't even know what the fuck that's worth. But hold on, there's another affirmative action legacy hire who also proved their mediocrity out the gate with their new show, and that's Chris Wallace. And some of you guys may not even be old enough to know that Chris Wallace's daddy is Mike Wallace, who used to be the long-term host of 60 Minutes. I mean, a somebody, right? And I don't ever hear nobody thinking about Chris Wallace as some sort of phenomenal journalist, reporter, or interviewer for that matter. I actually used to watch Chris Wallace with a lot of regularity on Fox News Sunday because I like to, I don't know, I watch the Sunday news shows, the Sunday politics shows out of some sort of element of self-hate. That's the only thing I can take away from it. But again, Chris Wallace wasn't knocking nothing out over on Fox News Sunday. Check out this article from the New York Post again. Chris Wallace's CNN celebrity talk show debut tanks in the ratings. Now, keep in mind, Chris Wallace was going to be part of the cornerstone of programming offered by CNN's streaming platform called CNN Plus. You guys remember that little venture? That grand opening, grand closing venture that CNN spent $300 million on. And I think the shit was open for about 2 hours and then they took it down. And Chris Wallace was a big part of that rollout. Like, he left Fox News to take this CNN Plus job. And despite the fact that nobody was giving a fuck about signing up for CNN Plus to watch Chris Wallace's funky show, CNN said, you know what, legacy affirmative action hire white man, we are going to find a place for you. We are going to find a place for you. Chris, we don't even care if you do good or bad. We are going to make a place for you. This is what the New York Post wrote. Chris Wallace's debut as the host of his own celebrity interview talk show on struggling cable news outlet CNN proved to be a dud in the ratings. What? I'm sorry, I lost my place. Sunday night's premiere, Who's Talking to Chris Wallace? Who's Talking to Chris Wallace? Was watched by just 401,000 viewers, which is down 29% from the 2022 average for the 7 p.m. Eastern Time hour for that slot on CNN. And between the ages, hold on. Wallace's show also drew in just 44,000 viewers in the advertiser-coveted demographic of viewers between the ages of 25 to 54, according to Nielsen. That's 64% off of the average for that hour. When reached by the Post, a network source defended Wallace, noting that the show is available to viewers on the streaming platform HBO Max 3 days before it airs on CNN, and thus doesn't follow a typical linear distribution model. So its success won't be determined like one. Oh, isn't that funny? So CNN is already making excuses preemptively for the preemptive failure of this mediocre legacy affirmative action hire, right? Saying that, oh, no, his stuff is set up different. So if it already looks bad in the regular ways that we have always rated these things, well, don't worry about that. We're not worried about that because we treating Chris special. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you, hold on. Before I even tell y'all something, let me get to my last piece of this, and then I'm going to tell y'all something. Let's go to that. Is it the rap piece? Oh my gosh. How is it that I have so many tabs open? I don't see how I'm able to follow anything that I have going on here. But yes, let's get to, I believe it is the rap. Yeah. So this was an interesting piece, and this is how it ties into these mediocre legacy affirmative action hires. So according to a recent Government Accountability Office report, Latino representation in TV, film, and publishing entities has been abysmal and grown extremely slow over the past decade. All of these things are asking me, do I want to allow notifications? And I don't. Let me just read an excerpt from this. So Latinos are underrepresented in the media industry and are more likely to perform service roles, according to the Government Accountability Office's latest report on Latino representation in television, film, and publishing entities. The new report released on Wednesday details that the population of Latinos in the media industry, listen to this, guys, the population of Latinos in the media industry increased only by 1% from 2010 to 2019. The representation of Latinos in film and television increased only by 1% in 9 fucking years. In 9 years. Okay, now that is compared to a 3% rise in representation across all other underrepresented sectors. These findings are part of the second installment of the GAO report, as the first, which analyzed Latino representation by media industry and occupation. And this is what they found. This was released last year. And Wednesday's report revealed that though Latinos make up 18% of the U.S. workforce, they make up just 12% of the media workforce and 4% of industry management. So when you see Chris Wallace continuing to fall upwards, when you see Chris Cuomo, who was legitimately forced out and or let go from CNN because he just demonstrated poor news judgment and horrific journalistic ethics, ask yourself, how is it that these men keep getting jobs? How is it that they keep getting jobs? And the way they keep getting jobs is because they are the prototype. Okay, they represent whom media managers, those who are in power, the bosses who I'm imagining look a lot like them, right? That's who they're comfortable presenting the news. They don't want some radical, curly-haired, natural-haired black woman ranting and raving, talking about fuck communism and capitalism. I mean, not fuck communism, fuck capitalism, and let's perhaps entertain some other systems of politics and economics that could maybe boost more people, boost everybody instead of the specific elites, right? They don't want to hear those perspectives. Those perspectives are not welcome. But Chris Cuomo and all of his overt flaws in his designated profession still gets $1 million salary and the opportunity to fail again and the opportunity to continue to be mediocre. Chris Wallace, who is still skating off his father's name, very much like Chris Cuomo is, still gets the opportunity and gets excuses made for his poor performance and why no one's watching his boring fucking show. But he still gets a check and a job and a platform and a position. And I fucking hate it here. I hate it here for everybody. I hate it here for all of us. So make no mistake, and those numbers that I just shared with you about Latino representation are abhorrent. Only a 1% gain between 2010 and 2019 in Latino representation on television and film is disgusting. So these are the ways that white supremacy continued to show itself. I need for people, especially white folks, to pay attention to that. I need you to be angry that Chris Cuomo's back on television. I need y'all to be mad that Chris Wallace is back on television, because I assure you, there are a legion of better qualified, harder working, much more culturally competent people that are just standing by. I can't even say waiting in the wings, because chances are they're not even in the building, right? Because they don't adhere to a very rigid set of these American normative politics that subscribe exclusively to the political duopoly and to capitalism. If you disagree with those things, there's not a space for you in the news cycle. And that's sad. And that's all the more reason for you to support channels like Status Coup, for you to support channels like Burn It Down with Kim Brown and Black Power Media, because at minimum, we're going to tell y'all the truth. We're going to bring it to you raw and uncut. And because we don't have any corporate backing, we don't have that kind of agenda. You know what I'm saying? My agenda personally is liberation, is liberation for Black people in all marginalized communities. I want everybody to be free. And for our white allies and our white comrades who stand with us, we need y'all to call out the shit too. You know what I'm saying? We need y'all to be about it, speak about it, and more importantly, the best way to fight white supremacy is the white on white violence, right? I mean, not violence, explicit violence, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, because when the white supremacists come up, it's important for our white comrades and our white allies, because sometimes whiteness can only fight the whiteness. So it is very important for white people to speak up and speak out when there are examples like this of legacy affirmative action. Call out mediocre whites, like I have called out Herschel Walker's mediocre ass. Call out mediocre whites and ask, how come there are not more faces, more diverse perspectives in those exact seats? Anywho, let's call that a night. Have y'all had enough of me? Probably. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. And don't forget to subscribe to all the places. Status Coup, Burn It Down with Kim Brown, Black Power Media. I will be on Black Power Media tomorrow morning for the Remix Morning Show, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. And you can come join me for Burn It Down with Kim Brown, 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday nights. Okay. On behalf of everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in. Big up to the Fire Fam for checking in today. And on behalf of Colin and Jordan, I want to thank you guys so much for watching Status Coup News. We'll see you back here tomorrow.